Thank you for attending our webinar this morning on Windows 8 Pro. My name is Sean Wilson. I'm the Vice President of Sales. I'll be presenting today along with the help from our CEO, Eric Ringelberg. First, a bit about NextIT. We pride ourselves on offering technology solutions that make business sense to our clients. And we really do that across three different divisions of our company. The first is focused on computer support. This is where we work with our customers to provide a local help desk service as well as on-site support, offering measured response time. And because we're highly efficient at it, it is extremely cost-effective. Again, that's outsourcing locally, really to folks who do it every day. The second group is our project services division. We pride ourselves on being able to execute very specific projects for clients, whether it's a server deployment, desktop migration, or VoIP phone installation. We offer not to exceed quotes and expert execution on delivery and project management. Generally speaking, the technologies we work in are the Microsoft, Cisco, HP. We offer telecom solutions and cloud offerings. And then lastly, as we call it, the Prosper part, is the web division. We have a full web team that focuses on all things web related, whether it's social media, e-commerce, search engine optimization, pay-per-click advertising, traditional web development, or anything that gets done online. We'd ask you to consider NextIT the next time you need work in any of those three categories. So in today's webinar, our agenda really is to give you an overview or a sense of what Microsoft is trying to provide in Windows 8, as well as a couple of different versions which can be a little confusing. Windows 8 RT versus Windows 8 Pro. Then we'll do some live demo features. We'll talk about why should we care, why upgrade now, and then lastly, if we'd like to, how do we actually execute that upgrade. So first of all, sort of the general overview of Windows 8 and what Microsoft is trying to accomplish here. They really feel like they've sort of reimagined the Windows experience, and they've done that with tablets and convertibles and touch screen in mind. Now, sort of the underpinning technology underneath it is really that same proven and tested Windows 7 technology, but it's really become more robust, and they've added several new features such as the start screen. We're going to talk about that. I've already mentioned that this operating system is designed not only for keyboard and mouse, but also for touch screens. It still maintains the familiar Windows desktop that we've all come to know and understand and appreciate, but they really integrated this new concept of apps. Now, for anybody out there who's familiar with, the Apple iTunes or iPods, iPads, etc., the whole Apple environment, or Android or the Android market, it's very similar to that in that it's Windows now has its own store where it provides apps that will work in your Windows 8 environment. Also cloud connected. They really took their cloud offering, which is their hosted solution, whether it's email or SkyDrive or different collaboration platforms that they have, and they've made it easy to integrate that into your computer. Now, what that might look like for you is now instead of having the option of loading it or saving a document on your laptop or saving it on a server, you'll have a third place, which is the SkyDrive, as it's called, or Microsoft's cloud, where you could also store it. And then, of course, the wide range of hardware speaks to the fact that this OS is really designed to work on tablets, a similar version on phones, desktops, touchscreens, non-touchscreens, and so on. The point here is that the users get a very similar or same experience regardless of the hardware that they're using. Having said that, I did want to talk a little bit about Windows RT. So this is important to understand because as the holiday season is coming on us here, we're going to see a lot of TV commercials for the Windows products. And the Windows products that are in the stores now, and we expect until January, will have a version of Windows RT. That's different than Windows 8 Pro, which is what we'll be focused on today. Windows 8 RT is really sort of a lighter version designed to work on tablets. And I wanted to point out right at the beginning that we're really looking at the business application, the business version of Windows 8, which is Windows 8 Pro. Again, we talked about the many new hardware options, whether it's touch, keyboard, and mouse. Certainly, Windows 8 is, allows for thinner and lighter devices because its battery requirements are a lot less. It's got advanced security. Whether it's a tablet, a convertible, or a desktop, it really doesn't matter. And even touchscreen all-in-ones, which we think we're going to see a lot of in the coming year or two. So with that said, I want to move into the actual demo part of the presentation. I'm going to accomplish this a couple of different ways. One is I'm actually going to leave the PowerPoint and show you actual steps and demo in features live on this Windows 8 device. And then I've also got some static slides that I want to share with you to show some of the concepts that I can't show live. So we'll dive right into it here as soon as I get out of my presentation. Okay, so we're all looking currently at the desktop with icons on it, and certainly that's reassuring, right, because Windows still has a desktop component to it. I am going to go to the start screen now, and I'm going to do that by moving my mouse into the upper right-hand corner, and you're going to see some icons appear. These icons, Microsoft actually calls them charms rather than icons, but certainly they're designed for the most commonly sought-after features, be it search, sharing on social networks, start menu, what devices are connected, and settings. And we'll investigate several of those throughout the presentation. For now, though, I'm going to click on the Start menu because I want to kind of take a look at that with you. So we're looking at Eric's start from his computer. You can see up here in the upper right-hand corner that Eric's currently logged in. We're also starting to see these tiles move and rotate around. Now, these tiles are really more than just static icons. We can move them around to keep them organized the way we'd like to. You also see that they're in groups, right? So there's a group here, a group there, and so on. And you can imagine a world where you had a work group and a home group and maybe a hobby group and so on. If I use my mouse wheel, I can scroll across my tiles and see all of them. And of course, if I click on any of these, an app is going to launch. Before I do that and demonstrate it, I'm sure you're seeing some of these tiles that are rotating and the content is changing. Those are called live tiles. And through my internet connection, they're getting updated information. If I didn't like the live tile, or if I felt like it was too busy, I could certainly right-click on that and turn it off and make it into a static tile. So there's some options there. Now if I'm to hold down the control key and then use my scroll on my mouse, I can make everything, much smaller, and this is helpful if I want to start to design or organize my tiles, in a different manner perhaps. But I'll bring them back up to full size so you can see them here. Each one of these is in fact an app that has been installed on the computer. I'm going to choose one so I can show you what it looks like, and I'm going to choose the store application or a store app. Go ahead and click there, and you'll see that I'm logging into the store. It was pretty quick. And if you've ever used iTunes or if you've ever used the Android market, I'm sure you get the gist. These are all essentially programs or apps that I can download and install. Some of them cost money. The Star Wars Angry Birds is $4.99, or the Wikipedia one is free. And if I was to choose the Wikipedia app just so we could look at it, we get a sense of what the overview is, details about it, reviews on it. And I can install it with my install button, which I'm not really going to do, but you get the point. You can also search by top free or new releases, or I can bring up my search bar and take a look there, or search in more detail. This does give me an opportunity at this point to talk about how to close apps. So I can move my cursor all the way to the top middle of the screen, left click, drag it down all the way to the bottom, and I've closed that application. There's some other ways to manipulate the screen. If I was to move my mouse to the lower right corner and right click, I could bring up all apps that are on the computer, as you can see. But I want to go back, so I'll go back to my start button. If I hover my mouse in the upper left corner, I can see that there's a little window there of my desktop. Now, if I had different apps running, I might have different windows, and that's one way I could toggle from my start screen to this app and back and forth. In this case, I'm going to use that to click and go out back to my desktop. So when we look at the desktop, we probably, we've already figured out that if I move my mouse to the upper right-hand corner, I get my charms, and if I move it down in the lower right-hand corner, I can go back to the apps. But the important point to show here is that in the lower left corner, there is that familiar start button, which of course is probably unnerving to some folks, right? Because we're so used to that start button. What I just did there is I just right-clicked in the lower left corner, and essentially I pulled up a menu that has everything on it that the start button used to have. I kind of refer to this as the hidden start button. But you can see that there are, essentially everything that was available through the start menu is now available by right-clicking in the lower left. I would suggest that this is probably not a feature we want to show off to our end users, but perhaps, just maintain that, I guess, for the power users. As I get back into my charms here, I want to go into the settings for just a minute to show you a few things. And now I'm going to go down to the Change PC settings. And this is really where, just like it sounds, this is where we can change or affect the look of the computer. In this case, I'm going to go to Users, and then I want to show you the Picture Password feature. And of course, it's going to ask me to log in just to verify on who I am. Before I actually execute this, let me tell you the point of it, I guess. Microsoft understood that using a username and password to log in, an alphanumeric password, brought some level of security, but at the end of the day, it's letters and numbers that can be hacked. By going with a picture password, they've really brought a new level of security. So I'm going to set that up now for you and show it to you. So the first thing we have to do is we have to pick a picture. So I'm going to choose new picture, and then it's going to give me some options here of things that are on my computer, or on this particular computer. And I'm going to pick this picture of Epcot. So this is the photo that will show up on my computer when it's time to log in. So I want to tell it to use this picture. Now it's asking me for 3 discrete gestures. And a gesture is a click or a drag. Now I have to pick, and I'm going to have to replicate this over and over and over again. So I want to think that through. So I'm going to choose Eric's daughter's nose, Eric's wife's nose, and then drawing a line down this leg. And it's going to ask me to repeat it, so girl, the mom, and then drag it down this leg. And now I'm done. So what that means, then, just to nail that down, is that when I log in the morning, when I come in and open up my computer, or waking up from sleep, or whatever, instead of typing in my password, I'm going to be presented this picture where I know I'm going to click on one face, click on the second face, and drag it across that leg, and it's going to grant me access to the machine. You can imagine a world where you're on a touch screen, where it's touch, drag, or of course, with your mouse, it's click, drag. Either way, pretty cool feature. And when you consider the fact that it's much more difficult to hack, what exact photo, what exact location, was it a click or a drag, as compared to just a series of letters and numbers. So we're pretty happy with that feature from a security standpoint. A couple other things I want to show you under the general setting here. A couple of these things on the right are interesting. So we probably all remember the Windows XP Restore feature, which is where we could go back to a prior date and time. Then in Windows 7, they made it a little nicer, because if you were going to restore a computer to a date and time, they'd at least tell you what you're going to lose. In Windows 8, they've given us even some more options. So certainly we could remove everything and reinstall the Windows. So that's just going back to a factory default, or the factory settings, which in some cases is exactly what we want to do. And then we've got this ability above to refresh your PC without affecting your files. And this is where your personal stuff, generally photos, music, videos, usually aren't the problem causer. Generally, it's something else. So that stuff we're going to protect. But yet it's still going to sort of refresh, get it back running a little quicker and better than it was. So we really like that feature. Okay. Those are sort of the big features that I can show you live. I'm going to dive back into my slide deck and show you some more features that are a little more abstract or don't allow us to demo them live while you're watching. So the first is the Windows 8 lock screen. So I couldn't lock my computer, obviously, during the presentation to show you this, so we had to take a screenshot. But we're looking at a screenshot here of what your computer looks like when you just open it up. So this is even before the picture password, right? This is even before any sort of password entry. The takeaway here is that you notice those three icons at the bottom, as well as your calendar entry. So we can see the date, time. Above that, we can see what's on our schedule. And then below that, we can see how many emails, chats, or links are waiting for us once we get logged in. It's kind of a quick way to take a look and see what you've got cooking before you even logged in. Pretty neat. Trusted boot. This is another security feature. It's certainly not exciting to look at, but it's great to know that it exists. And really to show the value here, I've got to take a step back and remind you of something. And that is, when you turn a computer on, there's a few seconds where the computer is working outside of Windows, right? Windows hasn't started yet. And then, naturally, Windows launched. Well, some of the more devious virus and malware that's out there, it knows that those few seconds exist outside of Windows. And that's where those viruses and malware live. And of course, when Windows boots up and your antivirus boots up, it doesn't know any different because this is living outside of Windows. And naturally, your AV has no way to see it because your AV lives within Windows. Yet you still got all these problems with the computer. Trusted Boot is the first version of Windows that pays attention to those first few seconds when you turn your computer on. Windows hasn't started. Really what it does is it kind of takes a snapshot of those few seconds, and it wants to see the same sort of behaviors every single time you boot the PC. If it doesn't, it will note that it has, and it will start to give you some options. It will also prevent some of those things from encroaching in on Windows once it's already out. So this is a pretty significant security enhancement that probably won't get a lot of press, but from somebody in the IT industry, this is a big deal. Windows to Go is a great feature. You saw this demonstrated live in the last couple of days. So Windows to Go is a feature that's available on Windows 8 Enterprise machines. Windows 8 Pro Enterprise machines. And essentially it's a feature that allows you to take your whole desktop on a thumb drive. So you have to have a very specific thumb drive, USB drive, one that's certified to work with Windows. But if you do, and you've got Windows 8 feature working, so the scenario is you're working at work at your laptop or your desktop, and now you want to leave, plug your thumb drive in, it copies an image of your machine onto the thumb drive, and then when you leave, you've got it on the thumb drive to go to perhaps a customer's location or your home PC or an airport kiosk machine, doesn't matter. And you plug that thumb drive in, that image populates, and you're able to work within your desktop environment on this completely different machine that absolutely doesn't run Windows 8, but it's running on that USB drive. Now, if you think that through technically, there's probably some concerns like, well, I don't want to save information to somebody else's machine. And of course, you won't be. It prevents you from saving to that other machine. Also, if you pull the USB drive out of the socket, you've got it freezes, and it gives you 60 seconds. If you don't insert that back in 60 seconds, then the machine shuts off, or the image goes away. Rather than if you do shut it, plug it back in 60 seconds, and picks up what left off. So pretty cool for mobile folks, pretty cool for work teleworkers, people who work at home and in the office, maybe sales folks that need to demo things. Just the idea that you walk around with your laptop on a USB drive is impressive. Client Hyper-V. those of you that worked with any sort of Microsoft virtualization software, you'd probably recognize that name, Hyper-V. For everybody else, I'll just remind you what that is. That's Microsoft's virtualization software. So it used to be only in a server environment that this worked. So in a server environment, you'd buy one physical box, one physical server, and then Hyper-V software would sort of run on top of that box, and that would allow you to create pretend or virtual servers, multiple ones. So you might have 3 VMs or virtual machines all running on top of one piece of hardware. Obviously, there's power savings, space savings, cost savings, admin time savings, and the benefits of virtualization in the data center are significant. Particularly in a manufacturing environment or an environment that's got old legacy programs. Maybe this machine, maybe the software only runs on, server 2000. Well, you can't buy that anymore. So you might make a virtual server that runs 2000, so you can still keep running your application. While at the same time having a virtual server that runs your email, the most recent version. So you're getting the best of email and productivity and maybe a legacy application. Well, up until now, that was only available at the server level. Now with Windows 8, it's available at the client or at the desktop level. So that is to say, I could run a virtual desktop on my desktop, and I could do that for those same reasons. Maybe I wanted a version of my home machine as well as my work machine. Maybe I wanted a legacy application, a software that's old and maybe more, but I still need it to run, but I won't run on Windows 7. Now I could run a second machine to run just that application. So this one is all about flexibility and making older applications work correctly. Also, though, very flexible and a big deal for Windows 8. BitLocker 8. So BitLocker started with Windows 7, and this was the idea that if somebody had a USB thumb drive or even just a portable USB drive, that when they plugged it in and they copied sensitive data to it, they wished they could encrypt it or lock it down, so that if you had your QuickBooks file on your way to the accountant on your thumb drive and you dropped it while you're pumping gas, nobody else would have access to your information. And while we chuckle about that, I mean, really, if you think it through, the HIPAA and compliance consequences, should that sort of thing happen, are pretty significant. So in Windows 7, they came up with this idea of BitLocker, so that they were going to lock that particular thumb drive to a particular machine or encrypt it to a particular password. And without that password, it don't open. The only problem with that is that Windows 7, it did the whole device. So if you had a 10 gig thumb drive and you only put one gig file on it, you're sort of wasting that other 9 gigs. In Windows 8, you can really partition up or change the way it locks down that thumb drive. So maybe it will only lock the data that's on it, and then allow you to use it for your kid's homework for the rest of the time. Point is, those drives are becoming much more, well, not only secure, but they're also becoming more flexible. You can use them across different, you don't have to have your secure thumb drive and your unsecure thumb drive. You just have one thumb drive. Okay, so at this point we really exhausted the features that we wanted to show today in this introductory piece. I wanted to just sort of wrap up with this few ideas. One is, why should I bother moving from Windows 7 to Windows 8? And frankly, the answer is, if you like Windows 7, for the same reasons, you'll like Windows 8 even more, right? So it's faster boot, just like 7 over XP. 8 is faster than 7. 8 has a longer battery life, better performance, and more secure, connects to Wi-Fi, and handles monitors even better task manager, And just several benefits we've been talking about today: integration with the cloud and security and protecting you from viruses. So it's not it's not that 7 is bad, because I think we all agree we like 7. 8's just better at being 7 than 7, if that makes sense. So how do you buy it? There's really a few different ways. Certainly, we know that if you're looking for it for your home on the consumer level, that's what you're going to be seeing at Best Buy and the big box stores. Certainly, you won't be buying Windows 7 machines anymore. They're all going to be Windows 8. You can certainly also through our business channel, where you're buying consumer or commercial grade computers. While you can still get Windows 7 on a few devices and channels, certainly the distribution folks are trying to get rid of those. In fact, I would say, if you did want to buy Windows 7 machines, you should probably do that in the next 60 days, as they truly won't be available after that. Just as a point of clarification, you can always buy a Windows 8 machine and back rev it to Windows 7, but there's a premium for doing that. I'm talking about the machines that came with Windows 7 natively. They're not being produced anymore. The second way you can buy it is you can just buy the software. You buy Windows 8 Pro software. Put the CD and stick it in your machine and upgrade to Windows 8. The Pro Pack, if you have certain versions of Windows 8, you can online register and download and upgrade your version to the next version up. And then volume licensing. Anybody that is going to be doing more than 5 or more copies of Windows 8 Pro, we'd encourage to look into volume licensing, just because that's a media less green, less expensive option, where you start getting one key for all your machines rather than an individual key for each, and you're not paying for the packaging and so on. So volume licensing is another option. And with that, that is our introduction to Windows 8. That we thank you for your time today, and we hope that you found a couple of discussion points. And if you'd like to know more, feel free to reach out to myself or my team. The best way to do that at NextIT is sales@next-it.net or 866-388-6398. That's 866-388-6398. Thank you very much for coming.